Hey everyone, this is Steve with Keep 'em Rolling, and this is the kind of show spectacular that I promised you in the last episode. It is absolutely a gorgeous Saturday. I mean, it is just, I'm squinting because the sun is out and the temperatures, you know, it's up in the 60s, which is something we haven't seen here in Michigan in quite a while. So it's absolutely almost too nice to go into a military show. But you know, is it ever really too nice to go into a military show? You know, I happen to not think so. So now, we're up here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're at the Knights of Columbus Hall, as you can see right here. It's a small show, but it is a mighty show. A very mighty show, and the show is one day only. Saturday, runs from 9 to 3, and easy place to get to. It's literally right off of the US 131 highway. It's next to a fantastic recreation center called Craig's Cruisers. There's a Chick-fil-A nearby, Panera Bread, so there's just a lot going for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to head on in. I have a booth here, and it's been kind of a slow day. I've sold a few pieces, but I brought a lot of uniforms, and people just, for some reason, just aren't interested in the uniforms. But, you know, oh well. Stuff is nice, and I don't mind putting it back into my collection. So, on that note, let's head on in. I'm going to kind of show you some of the cool things that are for sale inside here. Okay, we're heading on in here. We got... Here's one of our collector friends right here. You saw her down at the Show of Shows. Yep, and we're just gonna kind of just do a we'll head down to, you can see it's a pretty good size show. You know, it's not the Show of Shows by any means, but it's still a fantastic show. This is the stuff that I have for sale right here. It said lots of uniforms and that, but just not a lot of biting today. Lots of nibbling. So, but as you can see, we see Scott over there. You know, you saw Scott down at the Show of Shows as well. You see a lot of other collectors, lots of deals being made. But just neat stuff. I mean, look at this right here. I mean, this is like a real early belt there. Isn't that cool? Got foot lockers. There is just a lot of fantastic stuff. And I have to be careful because I don't want to offend any of the dealers that are here. You know, some people don't mind their stuff being on camera, but you know, I just want to give you guys, as I said, it's not a huge show. You can probably walk this whole show in maybe, you know, 10 minutes if you walk fast, but lots and lots of cool stuff. So, hey everyone, we're at the show, and you know, you never know how these things are going to turn out. You know, I'm here, and I sold a few things, and this young gentleman, he bought something from me, and then him and his dad, they left, and then they came back, and he's like, "Are you that guy on Keep 'em Rolling? Man, I watch you." So I was like, I gotta have you on the video. So here he is right here. This is Spencer right here. So hey, can you say hey to everybody?
Hey everyone.
All right, the awesome young collector. Yeah, gotta get in. There we go. Gotta get you into the frame there. So like, what kind of stuff do you collect? What do you like?
Vietnam and World War II.
World War II, that is awesome. Did you find some cool stuff here today?
Yeah, I found a couple helmets.
Cool, yeah. It's not exactly the Show of Shows, but it's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's so awesome to see collectors like this, you know, and I'm hoping, trying to convince him to do his own channel here. So we're going to see if he can start something too, because it's always fun. So guys, you never know who you're going to meet, and that's why we do this stuff. It's fun to see these people, and it's fun to have people come up and kind of create this whole community. So, man, I'm glad you came. I really appreciate you stopping by. So awesome. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. So, all right, here we have a table, some fantastic uniforms. Well, that was hard to say. You never know what you're gonna find. I mean, like, look at this. Look at these unusual bullion straps there. Boy, this guy's got a lot going on for him, including the Invasion Arrowhead, 3rd Army, just kind of a standard. Oh, nice 1st Army. You know, got this beautiful Navy jacket here. You got, you know, I think the Navy jacket might be selling right now. Oh, did you see the Marine Corps? I have a friend who's looking here also. Did you see the, yeah, that's nice. USN underneath. Did you see the Did you see the Marine Corps?
I got Marine Corps.
That's what it looks like.
Awesome.
So just lots of cool stuff here. Hey everyone, this is Steve with the after action report for the Grand Rapids Military Show. It's Sunday. I'm getting around to putting this video together, and just a couple of things. First of all, the show is an excellent show. It's very well organized. The person who puts it on does a fantastic job with the advertising. He does a fantastic job with show setup. You know, when you arrive in the morning, he had it right there. There was no question of like, who are you? Where are you going? It was like, hi, welcome, great, good to see you, Steve. Yep, you're right over here. You know, get set up. You know, pay me when you get done, and just excellent show. The layout, very good, easy to get to, tied to a major metropolitan area, so just lots of pluses. The only criticisms I have are more for some of the dealers. It seemed like you had the dealers that were willing to deal and the dealers that were just there to show their wares. And what's interesting is I noticed, and this isn't for everybody, so I don't want to say that everybody does this, but what I noticed is the majority of people who don't want to deal tended to be your older collectors or dealers, where the younger dealers tended to be more into, yeah, sure, you know, make me an offer, I can come down, and so forth and so on. And, you know, I ran into a few people where they refused to do any sort of dealing at all. It's kind of like, yep, that's what I got in it, that's what I want. And unfortunately, the items were overpriced to begin with. A couple other dealers didn't quite, I don't know if they understand the whole idea behind pricing and quality. You know, if you look at the vintage automobile market, vintage automobiles have this whole thing where, you know, if you're looking at a 1957 Chevy two-door convertible, a mint condition one is going to be worth a lot more than a parts car. It's just the nature of the business. And then a two-door convertible is going to be worth a lot more than, let's say, a four-door hardtop. Same thing with coins, same thing with postcards, same thing with really everything. But I don't think some of the military dealers get it. Because you'll see items where they're trying to sell you a parts car at the price of a full-blown restored convertible. Okay? An example is, I don't mind paying $100 for a World War II cartridge belt. Not at all. If it is a stellar, mint, you know, perfect condition, just beautiful, you can't get any better. I'm not going to pay $150 for a 1945 dated cartridge belt that's worn out. Okay, it doesn't even give me a starting spot. I mean, 150, you know, I'd have to offer the guy 40, you know, and is he really going to come down $90? I doubt it. So you have that problem, and that's where I ran into it. It was a little frustrating for me because, man, I walked that show for 6 hours, and for those of you who've never actually sold at a show, I can give you some tips here. Most of the selling takes place before the show opens. Dealers walking around, buying things, swapping things, etc. When the doors open, most of the selling takes place within the next 2 hours. So from 9 to around 11:30, 12 o'clock is when you're getting your sales. After that, dead. Then, right at the very end, it picks up again for like maybe the last 20 minutes with people walking around saying, hey, you haven't sold that, would you take less, and so forth and so on. So that's generally how a show goes. So you have that dead period. And for 6 hours, I walked around, looked at things, and didn't buy hardly anything. In fact, let's show you what I got here. Some of this was actually from, sorry for the, come on, there we go. Some of this is kind of, doesn't look like it's very much, does it? Some of this was from a deal I made with a friend a few days before the show. I picked up a couple things, including a couple real nice Carlisle inserts here. And these are just excellent inserts. And the reason I grabbed these is you always find yourself with the pouches and not the inserts. So it's nice to have a couple inserts sitting around on a shelf, so when I get a nice pouch, I can just complete the whole thing instead of having an empty pouch. I also picked up this from him. It's an interesting little PX thing that you could send to your loved one. And when you open it up, what it is, we can do that here, it's 2 khaki ties. So you could send 2 khaki ties to a loved one, so they would have plenty of ties. And I bought this from him. I like it, and I'm probably going to try and keep it together. There's a little bit of damage to it and such. See if that focuses in. I don't know if it's my eyes today or if it's the camera today. You know, I'd like to keep this together, but I bought this because, once again, you never know when you're going to need a khaki tie to complete a uniform. or a display. So it's nice to have a couple extra just in case. But it's just kind of a cool little piece. From him, I also bought this little grouping right here. We have the discharge button or ruptured duct. We have the good conduct button. We have the good conduct metal. We have a piece, he was in ordnance, so this is the piece off the collar disc right here, so it's missing the disc part. And then we have his dog tag right there. So, and the cool thing is that the good conduct metal, see if we can get it to focus in here, you can see there, it's engraved. I love engraved metals, just makes it that much more personal. So that's some stuff I picked up before the show. Now what I picked up at the show, once again, not very much. I picked up a dog tag. When I can find dog tags and find them relatively inexpensive, I grab them. This one right here was a grand total of $3, so I did not find that bad at all. I picked up some Sweetheart jewelry. Sweetheart jewelry was jewelry that servicemen could buy and give to their girlfriends, sisters, wives, mothers, aunts, grandmothers, etc., etc. Or the female set would wear them on their civilian clothing to show support for a loved one in the service. So this right here I really liked because this right here is exactly the same size of an Air Cadet emblem. And there's some debate as to whether these were actually worn by the cadets. I doubt it. I think this is more of just a Sweetheart piece. It's sterling, which is really cool. But once again, it's the exact size of the prop that was worn on the cadet caps. So, you know, loved one probably had that on their blouse, and then their son, brother, husband, whatever, was in the Air Cadets training to be a pilot. I'm actually going to put that on display with my Aviator Cadet cap that I have. I picked up some Sweetheart in-service pins. I don't know why the camera's being so finicky today. I like the 3 stars. Anything more than 1, I think it's pretty cool. This one's actually dated 1917 on the reverse side. And then I picked up this little one right here. So we can get this to... There you go. And I don't have one like this. This is a little engineer, which I thought was really neat. And the gentleman cut me a nice deal. So the interesting thing about these, for those of you who do not know what these are, if you had someone in the service, it was a blue star. So this one would be 3 loved ones in the service, possibly 3 brothers or a father and 2 brothers. I'm sorry, father and 2 sons, you know, so forth and so on. Let's try that again. This one could be for 3 brothers in a family, i.e. 3 sons. It could be for a father and 2 sons and so forth. And this one would be just for 1 loved one. And you'd wear this on your once again, your jacket, your blouse, what have you, to show that you had loved ones in the service. Now, if the star was gold, that meant your loved one had been killed, which is very, very unfortunate and very sad. So, neat pieces. I have a collection, which I'll do a video on, of this type of Sweetheart jewelry. Now, at the show, I found ammunition. Those of you who like ammunition, these right here are for the Mosin Nagant pistol. And, you know, going online and trying to buy stuff or going to the gun store and trying to find stuff like this is really, it's not that easy to do. You know, it's low priority for me, if you will. But with the show, I ended up with, you can see here, 7 boxes of the ammunition. It's all, I think, 1970s dated, 1960s dated, somewhere in there. And I paid a grand total of roughly $3.50, $4 a box, right around there. So that wasn't bad. I grabbed everything I could find, and I'm just going to put it with my Mosin Nagant pistol, and it's just nice to have live ammunition for it. So if I ever want to go and shoot it, I don't have to worry about trying to find it. Next, I grabbed this right here. United States Navy gas mask bag. It is just the bag, but what I like about this bag is it's the early model. It's the Mark I. So this puts it right at the very start of World War II, into World War II. You end up with like the Mark IVs, you end up with the Mark Vs, which are post-war. So this is an early one, and it's a really light color. You know, there was debate whether it had been bleached or if it was just like that. You can see the strap is actually gray, which is appropriate. But I just liked it. It's in really nice shape, and I'm going to be using it for my trip up to the Muskegon to the LST. So this will be part of my kit. And it's also nice for display. Excellent shape, a little bit of staining here and there, but nothing that detracts greatly. The gentleman friend of mine had $12 on it. I ended up picking it up for $10. Now finally, this was kind of a last minute purchase. I grabbed a uniform, which is pretty ridiculous because I was trying to sell uniforms and they didn't sell. But this one just caught my eye, and I liked it because it's complete. I don't have it unbuttoned here to show you, but we've got the two US's, which, you know, I've tried to find out what those stood for, and I thought it was for detached service. You know, some people think they're wrong, but I know there's a reason, and I'll be able to tell you in just a moment what they're for, because I found out something really cool. The uniform comes with, get it open here, we have the trousers, we have the tie. The uniform has the serial number in it, S0412. That same serial number is in the trousers down here. I don't know if I can find it, but it was in, yep, there we go. S0412. So everything on this uniform is all correct. It's an early uniform in that it has the hooks for the garrison belt. Whether he wore one or not is questionable, but I'd like to try and maybe find a garrison belt for it. It's all complete. The stripes are a little off on it. This one's good. This one over here has come unstitched. We have these nice overseas bars. Bullion, 3 of them for 1.5 years overseas. We have a nice ribbon bar with good conduct, and then the Asiatic Pacific ribbon. But the cool thing and why I bought it, we also have the discharge emblem or ruptured duck, but why I bought it was this right here. Look at that beautiful, beautiful China, Burma, India bullion insignia. Just wonderful. And you know I'm a big fan of these. This is one thing that I love to collect, are these insignia. And I'll show you some of my other uniforms with these on. I don't have one with one like this. And the price on it was $40, which I did not think was bad for that insignia. So I got it home and began to kind of look at it. And in the pocket, I found his dog tags. So I was able to verify who he is. I mean, we had the kind of the name partial and stuff in the collar up here, but now we have the dog tags. That's cool. And then also in the pocket, I found some notes that the person who collected this uniform originally wrote about the gentleman. His name was Roy Sims, and what was interesting was Mr. Sims was interviewed, and he stated that the U.S. discs were because he was in, hold on one second, the Adjutant General's Department in India, at Replacement Depot in India. It says that 2 U.S. brass is worn by the Adjutant General Department's enlisted personnel, which I thought was really, really cool. He also makes a statement here that he stated that we answered to no one. Even lieutenant colonels and bird colonels were told what to do by personnel of the AGD, or the Adjutant General's Department. So it was fantastic to find out a little bit about what this gentleman did. It also stated that he was pretty seriously wounded. He, let's see if I can find that part of it here. It states that, let's see, it says that British troops have been building airfields in the Indian desert, leaving many piles and areas of broken rock. And it said, while Sims was riding at night in a 2.5-ton 6x6 truck, the driver hit one of the rock piles. Sims was thrown from the truck and then run over by the vehicle, crushing his pelvic area, stomach, and thighs. He was one of the first to receive penicillin due to infection. The bone had severed his urinary tract, and he had surgery and stuff, and then was eventually shipped back to the States and lived all the way up into the, I think he passed away in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, 97. So, you know, he lived quite a full life afterwards. But it also states that he sewed on his rank while in India, and he sewed on his overseas bars while in India, and the patch is Indian made also. He got that there. So this uniform was with him while he was in India. So just a neat find, and it shows you once again, you're never going to know until you actually dig through the pockets or dig through the research what type of uniform you have. This was a gift to have all that information. So that is my report. It was a fun show. It was fun seeing someone who has watched my videos and watched John Boy's videos and other videos and such. And this is one thing I want to finish with, is for those of you who watch the channel, and I really appreciate all of you watching the channel and being a part of this whole endeavor to kind of keep this history alive, because that's what we're doing. All of us who watch this, all of us who research this, all of us who collect this, we're really doing a job to keep these people's memory from fading into oblivion. And that is, I mean, that is really, really important. I just can't stress how cool and important that is. But that being said, for all of you out there who look at these videos and think, wow, those are cool, I don't know if I could ever do that, just give it a try. That's all we've done, is just give it a try. And trust me, once again, I love to see the cool things that all you guys buy as well. So, on that note, this is Steve with Keep 'em Rolling with the Grand Rapids Show Report, reminding all of you out there to keep 'em rolling.